Hello, welcome to Greenwood Bonsai Studio today. I've had quite a hectic schedule recently, what with refurbishing the shop and teaching and travelling quite a lot. And today I've got a little bit of time back at the studio, so I thought I'd get stuck into working on a tree. And behind me here we've got a Juniper itoigawa, imported tree from Japan. And we sold it to a regular customer of ours a few years ago. And he's just been letting it grow out, and he's bought it in for it to be wired, trimmed and styled. So I'm going to start that procedure for him today, and we just thought we'd show it you before, a little bit during and afterwards. It's got quite a lot of growth on it. It's been growing really well, ever so healthily. So one of the first jobs we're going to do is we're going to go in there and start to reduce some of the length of these shaggy growths back, just with scissors, nice and neatly, to get back to something resembling a tighter foliage pad, this sort of thing. So there's a reduction of foliage we need to do, like that. And then all this is going to be wired down into shape. So this is going to finish here, this one here, this section here. You can see already we're just a few little bits of pruning. We're getting a shape back into it. So this can be wired to here and this to here. So this will sit just here. This will sit just here. Get rid of these long shoots. This one can come back into here. Yeah. So we've got to do that sort of work to it. Just briefly looking at it, this is the front of the tree in here. We've got a surface root here, look, that's died off. That's no good, so that wants to come off. And then this root here isn't in keeping with the rest of the tree. It's got good surface roots for a juniper, but this juvenile root here is straight and boring, so that's going to be taken off in future. And looking at the tree, there's quite a bit of pruning to do and wiring. It's a few hours work for me today in the studio. But initially, this growth here is good on this branch. This section here is pretty good. The top of this, I can't see any reason that's not going to give us too much aggro. We can get that wired into shape quite easily. But one of the branches that is probably an extra branch we don't need is this one here. This elbow on it here is not really good formation. And if you look at the foliage that's coming off it, look, the foliage that's coming off it through here, if you can see through the tree, so it's given us this foliage. Now this foliage can quite easily be replicated by this foliage here, and also by some of this foliage here. So because I can fill in without the need for this foliage, and also because this is a bad formation on the tree, this branch is surplus. So first job, we use our little chainsaw, we'll take this branch off. Now, because this is not a nice shape here, and it's interrupting this nice movement up here, I'm not going to need to carve that or make a gin out of it. I'm just going for a complete clean removal just across there. So that's that gone. We can neaten that up a little bit more with a concave pruner, but that is a lot nicer there. You don't even miss that branch was on the tree. So I'm going to make a start, just giving this a bit of a trim and just wiring my way through it to get it back into shape, so that we can give it back to its owner in a few days' time. So I've been working on this juniper this morning in the studio. Just thought I'd show you how we're getting on with it. Just been giving it a trim back, thin out and a wire. And so far, it's taken about 2 hours to get to this sort of stage. So during that time, I've just been getting wire on the tree. I'm not really positioning many of the branches as we go, because I want to do that at the end to show you. But if I just turn it round, you can remember earlier we cut a big branch off here. We've taken another one off here because it was sort of opposite. Didn't really need it in here. We've got enough foliage off this branch here. And I've wired all this lower section. All this has been wired. All this rear section here. And right the way around the tree up to here. So everything pretty much up to this sort of level has all been done. So that's a good amount of work to get done in that space of time, I've started to trim this side of the apex. So that's just been just trimmed back, take the tips off some of these tips so that I can get in there, get some wire on these. So now we've probably got another couple of hours work to get this trimmed back, get this apex wired, a little bit of fine wiring on some of these. Most of these I've come along the branches here, look, down the main branch to here. So obviously if we want to wire this further, you would then wire this chute and this chute. So we'd probably wire them two together. Further than that, you're going to wire this one and this one. But it depends how much precision we need at this styling. See here, we've wired down this one. We've wired that secondary one. We could also go in and wire this one if we deemed it necessary. So a few of these little ones that I've left for now, I might go round and get some wire on those. But I just wanted to show you the stage we've got to at the moment. You know, a lot of trees, if you've got a tree like this and you take it to a bonsai artist for styling, you know, one of the issues we have here is somebody will come up to the studio and they'll say, I've got a tree, I want it styling. How much do you charge an hour? And if you give them a price for an hour, they think, oh, there might be 15 hours work in that and it can work out expensive. So one of the reasons I'm filming this is to show you how I work and the sort of speed that you can do something, you know, because at the moment, you know, this is sort of 2 hours work to get to this stage, which is quite a lot of wiring done. So I'm hoping that this tree is going to take between sort of 4 and 6 hours to complete. So I just thought I'd show you a bit of work halfway through. I'm now just going to continue on to do this apex, and then we'll come back when it's all wired and I'll do a positioning of the branches and a final prune so you can see see it taking shape during the course of today. Hello, welcome back to Greenwood Bonsai Studio. Just to recap on this tree, you've just seen the start of me working on this tree, now a couple of days further on, and I've pretty much finished the wiring on it. There's some really fine little bits we haven't gone down into detail, but we've got most of the structure of this tree now wired. Ordinarily when I do this, I'll probably wire a branch and position it as I go, and this one we've kind of wired it and left it a little bit unruly so we can show you the branch positioning process. We've took a couple of big branches off it. We took a big branch off here and another one off in here that we took off, and there's a couple of crossing roots that we've removed. There's a few more that might come off in future, but there was a big lumpy one here that wasn't very good, and there was a dead one on this side, so we've taken those off. And currently it's about, from the start of working on this tree, we're about 4 hours into this process now. So what we've got to do now, we've got to do the positioning of the branches, because it's not just about putting the wire on the tree. The wire just allows us to position the tree. So now it's all wired, we can position the branches and organise it a little bit more, and then we can do a final pruning and shaping. So that's what we're going to do now. So we'll start off on this section here. Now some of these larger branches like this, if we want to pull this down, we've always got the option of pulling this whole foliage pad down with a guy wire or something like that. So, but we're going to see how far we can get with just working with the wire that we've got on this tree for now. So I'm just going to start off just doing this section and sort of work my way around the tree. And as I'm doing this, we'll put, do you want to put the screen down, Josh? And then it might be easier for people to see. If we just put this screen down, then you can, it might be easier for your viewers to see. So I'm just going to do the tip of this branch and then start dropping these in just to make some foliage pads up here. And again, they're still a little bit shaggy because there's still some pruning to be done, but you should see them starting to take shape. Now we've wired all these fine little bits. I'd say most of them are done. There's the odd one that isn't done, but we've done quite a few. This little tip here wants to come off, and then some of these that are hanging down a little bit. on this section. This is a little bit shaggy, and this bit here is a bit over long, so is this. Just pinch those tips out a little bit, get it something a bit more organised like that. And then this one can come out here, give us a little bit more length on this right side of the tree. And then this can rotate into here, put a little bit of movement into that. Drop these into here. This one's a bit long, just here. This tip can come back to just here. And this branch is going to come over, just fit in just like this. And this one can come back. So when you get to this stage, it's all the time spent, you know, doing the wiring will start to pay off. If you've wired branches, you can position them, and the idea being if we can position them, we can make the best use out of the branches and make the tree into a better shape. I mean, this is a sort of first styling on this tree for many years, so we're not exhibiting this tree in the short term. It'll be wired again before that happens. So this styling is just to get better shape into it, get these foliage pads where they need to be. This is a little bit long just here, this little section here. You can probably see a little bit better than me, but if I stand back a little bit, we've got a flatter underside to the foliage pad. In fact, I think this section here is a little bit too long. Just use wire cutters to go through that tip there, just nip that back a little bit. Yes, you can see it as it starts to develop, hopefully, against the white screen, as we start to get it into shape, just by manipulating these branches. We can just work our way around the tree. So now we've got a gap on this branch here, so this one here that we've wired above it can come down like this. We don't need that section. This little bit in here, trying to position it and keep my hands out of the way so you can see what we're doing. Just working with it backwards a little bit like that into there. And this is growing up a little bit too much, so we should be able to get this branch, put the scissors down and bend it down into here and rotate it. Keep that in there to give us a little bit of height. Just shorten this tip back. Little bit of foliage in here. Just twist that around. Shorten that back a little bit. Round to this rear branch here. And once we reposition these, any growth that's growing down too much, we can snip off. And we can put some movement in these branches to make the tree appear more compact. I'll bring this branch down and lay it in here. Give it a nice bit of space to grow into. Perhaps that's a little bit long. You get away with shearing it on the underside a little bit, and on the top just prune it. You can see now this section's done around here. That one there has grown up a little bit too much. That just happens to be a bit that isn't wired. We'll probably just trim that back a little bit to pop its head back down. This one here is okay. This is a bit long. And we start to turn it around. You can see we started to position from here around this side into here. good. You're always looking to keep the same sort of density. Don't have like a clump of foliage here and then an open section here. Try and have the same density throughout this sort of foliage pad. Then as this grows next year, it'll all start to fill out and look the same at the same point. So now I'm just going to continue on round this side doing that. We'll perhaps go to a bit of a time lapse while we do that, and then we'll come back at the tip, come back when we're doing the top of it. Just turn it around a little bit so you can see the difference between the sections we've done, and then we've got all this section to do. You see it's all fully wired. It's coming into shape quite easily at the moment. We'll come back and show you when we're a bit further on. So for those of you that have stuck with the time lapse, you'll see me just going around the tree, positioning the branches. We've got the top of it sort of sorted, just working on these back branches, trying to get them into position now, and then we can turn the tree around and you'll get to see it from the front. So always trying to put some movement in these branches that we've wired. You know, once they've got wire on them, then try to get them orientated the right way and get some movement in them. Any areas like this where we've just got a bit too much density, we can go in and trim a few bits out. Some of these tips just want the tips nipping back to encourage it to bush out and fill in a little bit further back. Little end of a wire there. This is a little bit too long. This one can drop down into here. This branch can come down and sit on top of there. A little dead stub there we don't need. This one here, that hasn't been positioned yet. That wants to go down into there. This one next to it. This one here is a little bit too long, so let's curl that up there. Bring this down above it, and this one round, and these down. Sort of doing this back to front really, because this is I'm positioning them like this, and then I need to turn the tree round and just double check that they do look good from the front of the tree. But we're getting them into structural position now. We can do that from this side, and then we've just got to double check when we turn around the front. This wants to be a bit lower into here. Some growth that's just hanging down a little bit too much and a little bit too long. We shorten back, and then this branch here, this wants to pull down a little bit. So this whole thing, we've got some fairly heavy wire on that. That's just brought it down into this level a little bit more. Let's have a little spin round the front. As we do that, we can see a few little sections that just want a trim back. That's why we're doing it against a white background, so it does make it easier for me to see where branches need to go. It also makes it easier for you to see bits that I've missed, probably. Hopefully I've not missed too many. So this is quite an overgrown tree. It's just been let to grow by the owner to get some vigour to it, and it's just here for the sort of first sort of styling it's had for a number of years to get it back into shape, so that we can then do like a even more refined shaping on it. Maybe in a couple of years' time, it's got to go it's going to be going into a nicer handmade bonsai pot. We've tidied up the roots a little bit. There's still a little bit more work to do with them, but like I say, this has just been a nice styling, wiring, just autumn tidy up on this tree from what it was like before, when it had so much shaggy growth on it, to what it is now. Let me just have a look. This bit here is growing up too much. Wants to come down into here. I've left a bit of length on these, a bit of here. We've left some sort of little bit straggly growth look. But I want to grow this section out, so I've deliberately left them. I'd normally trim them back a little bit more, but we've left them a bit longer so we can coax that foliage down into this area a bit sooner. Let me just have a look from the back to see any bits I've missed. Inevitably with something like this, there's always bits of pruning and tweaking to do on it as it progresses, but for now I'll probably spend another 10 minutes just fiddling about with some of these little bits of growth, and I'm just going to go back and pop a little image on of what it was like before we started this work, so just to remind you what it's gone through. So all in all, this has been about a 5-hour process from the initial the initial image of the tree through to this. It's a good sizable tree. Been quite a lot of work involved, enjoyable, and also, as I hope you think, a worthwhile process and quite a rewarding process for myself as a stylist, and also more importantly for the tree. And thank you very much for watching, and hope you enjoyed it.